Hi everybody, welcome to lesson 8.1, complementary angles. We have two learning targets for our lesson today. The first, I can identify and describe complementary angles. The second, I can use complementary angles to find the measure of a missing angle. As we work through today's lesson, the question that I want to keep coming back to and that I want you to really be thinking about is this question of how do you use complementary angles to find unknown angle measures? Before we dig into that, however, we need to do a quick review. So you might remember from, let me think, probably fourth grade, that a right angle is a special type of angle that measures exactly 90 degrees. And we can tell that not only from using our eye, but by looking at this angle here. And we can see that the two rays come here to form this vertex. And right in this vertex here, there's this little square. That symbolizes that this is a right angle, that this angle measures exactly 90 degrees. And the reason why that's important is because complementary angles look like this. So complementary angles, you'll notice there's an S there, more than one angle, are two angles that add up to be 90 degrees. So if you look at this diagram here, you can see that we still have these two rays that are forming an angle here, but we have another ray coming out from its vertex. And so ultimately, we have two different angles here, right? We have one up here on the top, one here down on the bottom. And so since we know that they together form this right angle, we can see here that one is 45 degrees and that the other one is 45 degrees. They add up, their measurements add up to be 90 degrees exactly. Now let me show you what that would look like if we were using a number sentence. So we know that we have two angles and they add up to be 90 degrees. So the first angle is 45 degrees. The second angle is 45 degrees. And when we add those together, we get a total of 90 degrees, which is a perfect right angle. Okay, so that's an easy one. Let's take a look at another example. Check this one out. So this example says two angles are complementary. Let me get my annotator here. Two angles are complementary. If one angle measures 43 degrees, what is the measure of the other angle, of the second angle? So you can see down in this diagram that I've already labeled this angle down here with 43 degrees. And since we don't know this angle up here, you might remember from our work with algebra that if I ever don't know a measurement or I don't know a quantity, we can put a variable there to represent that quantity until we figure out what it is. So I'm going to put an x here. So now if I were to write an equation to represent this, I know that I have an angle that's 43 degrees. And I know that if I add this angle x to it, it's going to give me a right angle because they are complementary. So in other words, if I add those together, they should give me a total of 90 degrees. Now here I really have a one-step equation, right? My job when I have an equation is to get this x all by itself. So in order to get rid of this 43, I'm going to need to subtract 43. And I have to subtract 43 from both sides. And 43 minus 43 cancels and gives me 0, which leaves me with x. And then I do 90 minus 43, which is going to leave me with 47 degrees. So now we know that this angle is 47 degrees. And if I wanted to check this, I could take the 47 degrees, add 43, and it should give me a total of 90. Let's try another example. Take a look at this one. Two angles are complementary. If one angle measures 17 degrees, what is the measure of the second angle? So again, it's telling us that they are complementary. It's telling us that one of the angles is 17 degrees, and you can see we filled that in down here. And it wants to know what is the measure of the second angle. And since we don't know that yet, we've put an x here. So go ahead and represent that relationship with an equation. So in other words, how would you write that? as an algebraic equation. Give you a little hint. See what you think. So you probably started with 17 because we knew that one angle was 17. If we add to it x, that should give us a total of 90. We want to get x alone, so we're going to subtract 17 from both sides. 17's cancel. I'm left with x on the left side. And then I do 90 minus 17, which leaves me with 73 degrees. So my angle here measures 73 degrees. Okay, let's try another one. So check this one out. Same thing, two angles are complementary, right? We know that means they add up to be 90 degrees. If one angle measures 76 degrees, what is the measure of the second angle? And actually, I'm going to cross these out because this should be the angle that's 76 degrees. It's a little error on my part, and this should be x. Go ahead and write an equation to represent this problem. Okay, so on your paper, you should have written x plus 76 gives us 90 because they're complementary angles. Go ahead and solve this equation and see what you get for the value of x. So to get x alone, we need to subtract 76 from both sides. So you should have subtract 76 from both sides. 76 cancel. We're left with x equals. You should have got 14 degrees. So this angle measures 14 degrees. Okay, let's try one more. Go ahead and see if you can solve this one on your own, and then go ahead and come back and we will go over the answer together. Okay, so for this one, you should have said they're complementary, which we know means they add up to 90. One angle measures 35. We've labeled that here. We are trying to figure out the value of the second angle, so we've placed an x here. And we know that angle x plus 35 degrees should add up to give us a total of 90 degrees. We need to get x alone, so we subtract 35 from both sides. And once we simplify that, we see that x is actually equal to 55 degrees. So we'll label that over here in our diagram as well, 55 degrees. Okay? So in wrapping this up here, we had two learning targets for today. And we went through a couple of examples together. So here are some things that I just want to make sure I leave you with. The first thing that we learned today is that, or reviewed today rather, is the fact that a right angle always measures exactly 90 degrees. And it's important that we know that because when we're dealing with complementary angles are two angles that add up to be 90 degrees. And remember, I kept saying at the beginning that we want to think about that idea of how do we use this to figure out unknown angles? Well, we talked about that as well. So we're going to take the two angles, write an equation that makes a sum of 90. So we have angle plus angle equals 90, and then we go ahead and solve it for x. Thank you for participating in today's lesson. Carter, do you want to say hi? Can you just say hi? It's all of my students. Do you want to say hi? No, he doesn't want to say hi today. Hey guys, hang in there. We will talk to you soon. Keep up the awesome work. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask Mrs. Wall or myself. All right, take care.